All right, a very good evening to you and a very warm welcome to TV47 Weekend Edition. Glad that you could join us for To The Point tonight. So much so much has been happening in the country, and of course we're here to bring you up to speed with everything. So keep us company. Let's take a look at what's happening tonight.
Tonight, 2 children die in a house fire in Nyahururu.
Ni huzuni sana na huzuni kubwa sana. Ati moto inatokea kijiji cha Maina. Hii ni moto kama ya mara 30.
5 people die in a bandit attack in Menti North in Meru County. And Saba Saba Day celebrated like never before today, 34 years after the first ever Saba Saba.
Mimi nashukuru sana kwa vijana wote wenye wamekuja leo kusimama na wenzao. Mimi nasema tu shukrani sana kwao.
All right, welcome to this live broadcast once again. My name is Anne Odida and Catherine Simaloi is our sign language interpreter tonight. Let's get started. Now, a sea of a family dispute is threatening, a sea of humanity gathered at the historic Uhuru Park to mark this year's Saba Saba Day, the day which derives its history from 7th July in 1990. So Kenyans mark the day differently this year. From a memorial service to the free Shijaz Memorial Concert, Kenyans chose to honor and remember those who died in the protests. George Maringa was at Uhuru Park and brings us this report.
It is a day that has its significance in Kenya's democratic history. The 7th day of the 7th month of the year, famously known as Saba Saba. This year's event fell on a Sunday, 34 years since the first Saba Saba. Police officers were seen patrolling the CBD as plans were in place to hold this year's Saba Saba in Uhuru Park. For the last 3 weeks, Kenya has witnessed protests, with the genesis being the Finance Bill 2024, which has since been withdrawn thanks to increased pressure from Gen Z. Come Sunday, hundreds who turned into thousands made their way to Uhuru Park. Young and old, men and women alike, thronged to the historic park. They had begun their day at places of worship, such as the Holy Family Basilica, for a memorial service. These crosses would welcome you to the park, not too far from the concert arena. The crosses bore the names of the victims who perished during the protests, as well as those still missing. One such fallen Gen Z is Ibrahim Kamau, who died at the age of 19 outside Parliament buildings. He had just completed Form 4 and had harbored dreams of joining college to pursue electrical studies. Kamau died after sustaining 2 bullet wounds to the neck and bears the dark legacy of being the first Kenyan to have been killed in the protests. His mother, Edith Wanjiku, was overcome by grief as she lay roses where his cross was inside Uhuru Park.
Na kwanza, mimi kwanza ningependa haki itendeke. Sababu mimi inaniuma sana. Haki isipotendeka kwa wao, mimi sioni kama ndakuwa sawa. Jota yeye mwenyewe pale atakuwa amelala, hata kitu alikuwa anapigania haijakuwa sawa. Sikutarajia ni kwanza kitu kama hii kabisa. Nilikuwa nadhani tu watu wachache watakuja, but mimi nashukuru sana kwa vijana wote wenye wamekuja leo kusimama na wenzao.
Civil society groups continue to castigate the actions by law enforcers.
You know, I have to praise whoever is advising him to continue to respond to the demands of the Gen Z. What we have to condemn is the continued violence against protesters.
This country requires a complete overhaul. We don't want cosmetic changes here and there, cutting this, cutting that. We want a complete overhaul. We want to see this country moving to the next level.
Kenyans, on the other hand, are not relenting on their calls for the president to crack the whip on some government officials.
Lazima sauti za vijana zisikizwe.
Kijana ni kama ule mtoto anakonga kwa nyumba ule anakwambianga ni baye tamu, unashinda kimuignore. The more unamuignore, the more anaongeza sauti.
Bila sisi wewe si mtu. Bila raia wewe si mtu. Umeelewa? Na watoto umeweka kwa kiti, wana misuse the funds.
Alafu au community wote, aondoe wote. And then wale wenye amesema ukishafikisha alafu ukishafikisha miaka 60 toka kwa serikali.
The concert was free and some of the country's top artists also performed free of charge. One such artist is Sanaipe Tande.
But then on waking up this morning, my older brother was just like, Sana, you have to stand in solidarity with people. Tukienda kukiumana, kumeumana, tuko wote. You get what I mean? So he convinced me, actually told me, you have to stand with the people. So that's the reason why we are here. We are, we say we are tribeless, we are partyless, we are together in this thing. So this was my way of showing that I'm together with everyone.
The bereaved families who delivered tributes continue to await a meaningful response from the government.
Mimi ningesema haki tendeke. Na wasituone ati tumenyamaza, ati pia sisi tutakuja tu maandamano. Wanaitabidi watuwe sisi wote mpaka na wazazi wao.
Whereas a good number of today's attendees were not present at the first ever Saba Saba Day, today they continue to shape and reshape their political and civic history in the spirit of those that blazed a way before them. And once again, Uhuru Park has hosted another historic moment, even as this monumental crowd insists that their voices must be heard. George Maringa, TV47 at Uhuru Park, Nairobi.
Thank you, George, for that report. Now, for many years, July 7, often referred to as Saba Saba Day, has been remembered as a significant date in Kenya's second liberation and as a reminder to all Kenyans of the fight the nation faced for democracy and responsible administration. Fast forward to 2024, the anti-finance bill protest, believed to be organized by the young generation Z, has echoed the spirit of the earlier protest by representing the country a turning point and sharing a similar push, holding government officials accountable and above all making effective changes to governance of the country. Mike Kagwongo with that report.
July 7th is referred to as Saba Saba Day in Kenya. So what gives this day its name, you may ask? Well, it commemorates the anniversary of a significant pro-democracy protest that took place on July 7, 1990, when Kenyans took to the streets and demanded that Section 2A of the previous constitution be repealed to allow for multi-party democracy. This massive protest was a response to the misery that Kenyans had endured in the years of living under the one-party state led by the KANU party and the tyranny of the then President for life, Daniel Arap Moi. Political analyst and historian Macharia Munene recounts how in a press conference, young politicians dubbed Young Turks with the backing of more seasoned politicians called for a massive rally that was scheduled to take place at the Kamukonji grounds on July 7th, 1990.
Matiba and Rubia were law-abiding, so they asked for permission, and they were denied. So they called off the rally because they didn't have permission. But on the 4th of July, they were locked up in the hope that people will not, with their leaders out of the way, there will be no such a thing.
Few days prior to Saba Saba, Charles Rubia, Raila Odinga and Kenneth Matiba were all taken into custody. However, they did not prevent the rally from taking place.
But on the Saturday, the 7th, people showed up at Kamkunji in big numbers. And there were confrontations between the police and the people for 3 days, showing that people did not care. They had lost fear. And the initiative moved away from Moi to now the people. It is that shift from Moi to the people that then allowed later for the formation of Ford.
Gitabu Imanyara, Gibson Kamau, Paul Mwite, Kiraito Murongi, Njeru Gadhangu and Mohisa Kitoi were among the other active participants in the course. The Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA, Mother Karua, Abida Ali Aroni, Nancy Baraza, John Haminwa and the current Chief Justice Mother Kome were among the other lawyers who stood tall and refused to back down in the face of injustice.
Haminwa retire. I tell them, look,
John Haminwa recounts how he was abducted, detained, tortured and taken deep into Karura Forest.
John Haminwa, he went defending the accused in the 1980s, those people who are accused of belonging to Kenya, the critics of the government. He was one of the leading champions in defense of the rights of people.
I was taken to the cell on the ground floor. I found that they had poured water in the cell. I could not sit. There was no place where I could sit or stand or get support. They removed all my clothes. I remained as naked as I was when I came out of my mother's womb. I sat in this room up to about 11 o'clock. And at night, I think it was after midnight, they now took me, gave me clothes to dress up, and we were being driven towards the community prison. When we came to Karua Forest, they ordered me out of the car. They stopped the car. They ordered me out of the car, and it was pitch dark. So we went into the forest. Beginning at the Kamukunji grounds on July 7, 1990, there were massive demonstrations that spread to Thika, Kiambu, Nakuru and Nyeri. Wananchi and the police clashed in deadly running battles which claimed the lives of 21 individuals, with over 1,000 injured. The aftermath of the Saba Saba riots served as a catalyst for what's known as the Second Liberation in the 90s, which established multi-party democracy in Kenya.
Through pressure and rallies, to Moi agreeing to have Section 2 repealed, and the elections of 1992, which he managed to win somehow.
Some people wanted to change. They wanted to see change in the country. But there were others, of course, who were in authority, who were benefiting from the establishment, who did not want any change at all. But there were some people who wanted to change, particularly the professionals. They wanted to change again.
Na jambo hilo likawa ni jambo la maana sana la kuleta vyama vingi katika Jamhuri ya Kenya, kwa sababu ilikuja 1993 baada ya 1992 baada ya Saba Saba ya kwanza ambayo ilikuwa 1990.
34 years later, in what appears to be the third liberation, and under a new constitution, young Kenyans stormed streets in peaceful demonstrations against poor governance. Gen Z's grievances include a poor economy, corruption, impunity, alleged ineptitude in the state and public appointments, suspiciously lavish lifestyles of public servants, waste in government, unemployment and high cost of living. The Gen Z protests, which resulted in the death of 39 Kenyans, 361 injured, a total of 627 arrests and 32 abductions, have since led to the suspension of a Finance Bill 2024, dissolution of 47 state corporations, deduction of government advisors by 50%, and budget cuts of up to 177 billion shillings, among other changes.
Now, Saba Saba marked the awakening of Kenya's political consciousness. The bravery displayed by common wananchi in the wake of state-sponsored violence demonstrated an unyielding desire for change. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
All right, thank you so much, Mike Kagwango, for taking us back in time. Now, a family dispute is threatening the burial of 12-year-old Kennedy Onyango was shot in Rongai area during the anti-finance bill protest. On opposite ends are the late Kennedy's biological parents, who are no longer together and have since moved on with other partners. Both claim the rights to bury the boy, and as things stand, the funeral, which was planned for this weekend, has been postponed indefinitely, awaiting the outcome of a court decision on 17th of July. Brian Odhiambo reports.
The pain of a mother after losing her son to a gunshot is clearly visible on the face of Jacinta Onyango as she mourns in the village of Kamasengre on Rusinga Highland. Shortly after Mbita Court dismissed her plans to bury her son, the bone of contention being the location of his final resting place. Two locations exist. The first is Kamasengre in Mbita, the home of her current husband, who is the late Kennedy's stepfather. The other location is in Gwasi, the home of her former husband Dennis Okinyi, who is Kennedy's biological father. Last week, this bereaved mother's video went viral, the video containing her plaintive cries for help in burying her son. The funeral was earlier planned for 12th of July, but was quickly changed to Saturday 5th of July, apparently in an attempt to head off a family feud that threatened the burial, but to no avail. What is left is the evidence of what was to be, but was not to be, in a funeral banner. 200 copies of the funeral program and wreaths of flowers. Onyango is asking the government to intervene in the tussle to aid her bury her child. She claims that Dennis Okinyi, who is her first husband and biological father of the late Kennedy, and who went to court to stop the burial, did not cooperate in the upbringing of her child. That Okinyi only came forward after realizing that the government was covering the funeral bills.
Hadi saa hii sijui mtoto wangu wako wapi, sijui amepelekwa wapi, sijamuona, sina habari yoyote. Hiyo siku tu jioni Ruto alinipigia. Nikasema ndio huyo sasa president amenirumia, amenipigia. Kunipigia akaniambia Mama Kennedy, nikamwambia tafadhali serikali nisaidie, mtoto wangu nimenyang'anywa. Tangu mtoto akufe hajai kanyaga hata Rongai. Alinitusi wakati alisikia mtoto amekufa. Tena ameona president akiongea, akisema atatafuta Mama Kennedy, wazazi wake, hiyo familia, aongee na yeye. Ndio huyo baba akatokelezea.
85 kilometers from the island, at the foot of Gwasi Mountains, Dennis Okinyi's large family has gathered to plan a parallel funeral for the late Kennedy Onyango. On his part, Dennis Okinyi claims that his ex-wife lived with the child for only 1 year, but before, the late Kennedy was under his care. He claimed that he was prevented from seeing his son's body in Nairobi, only to find out that the funeral was to be held in Rusinga.
Nilipofika huko, nilipata kama mahali mbia yote imefungwa. Sasa nisingeweza kuingia huko juu nilisindwa juu ya serikali. Sasa ili nibidi niende kwa koti ili nione vile naweza kata nini, vile naweza ili nione vile naweza ingia kwa mwili ya mtoto wangu. Wakati nilifika huko, bibi yangu alikataa ili nisiingie huko.
The Mbita court is expected to give a decision on the dispute on 17th of July. Brian Odhiambo, TV47, Homa Bay.
All right, thank you, Brian. Now, Kenya has today joined the world in celebrating World Kiswahili Day. This marks the third celebration since the holiday was declared by UNESCO in 2021. Stakeholders are now calling upon the government to foster the formation of the Kiswahili Council, as Quinte Wafula now reports.
Ni sherehe za kukienzi na kuienzi lugha ya Kiswahili, lugha hii ikiendelea kukumbatiwa na sio tu nchini bali kote duniani. Kama sio Kiswahili. Waziri wa Jinsia, Utamaduni, Sanaa na Turathi za Kitaifa Aisha Jumwa akieleza mipango mahususi ambayo serikali inayo ili kuendeleza utumiaji wa lugha hii.
Kuzindua mikakati, mbinu na sera mahususi zinazohitajika kukuza na kuendeleza lugha ya Kiswahili.
Washikadau mbalimbali wamewataka vijana na jamii kwa jumla kukumbatia lugha ya Kiswahili ili kuitumia kuhifadhi utamaduni wa Afrika.
Sisi tunatakiwa kuzaa watoto ambayo wanatumia dasturi yetu, dasturi ya Kiafrika. Kila kitu nakuwa Afrika. Alafu kama unasikia hivyo, basi.
Na imeweza kutambuliwa kama lugha ambayo inaweza kufanikisha maendeleo au mawasiliano ili tuweze kufikia maendeleo endelevu.
Wanahabari wa TV47 na Radio 47 nao hawakuachwa nyuma.
Wajua, mkiwa na baraza la kitaifa la Kiswahili sio tu litasaidia ajira hizi kazi za tafsiri, lakini kuna usawazishaji ambao utakuwepo na utaondoa kwa mfano neno fulani. Sisi hapa Radio 47 tunatumia neno hilo kwa Kiswahili hiki, ama TV47 Kiswahili kile.
Usomaji wa habari, utangazaji wa mpira, na pia mimi mwenyewe ni mshairi. Kwa hiyo ni lugha ambayo inanisaidia pakubwa katika kuhakikisha kwamba hilo ama hayo yote nimeweza kuyatimiza.
Inatumika kama chombo cha mawasiliano, sio tu kwenye wanahabari na vile vile katika hali ya kawaida.
Quinto Wafula, TV47, Nairobi.
Kwa kweli tukienzi Kiswahili. Now moving on, Azimio Coalition is calling for the ouster of the Kenya Kwanza government and is pushing for President Ruto to desist, from to maybe rather just to come down from his position. Now take a look at this report.
A section of prominent leaders allied to the Azimio la Umoja coalition led by Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka have commended the youthful protesters for their continued protest against the ruling government and urged them to soldier on.
This Saba Saba Day, we remember them. We say their lives, they did not fall in vain. Their lives will be, how do we put it? They say they will try to compensate pay, but the Gen Zs are so amazing.
The leaders who toured Meru County to commemorate Saba Saba Day said that the Azimio coalition fully supported the Gen Z protesters who have been staging countrywide demonstrations against the Kenya Kwanza government and the National Assembly, who they blame for economic difficulties and other problems.
These young Gen Zs, 41 of them, are heroes, just like the freedom fighters of our first liberation who got the colonial government out of place. Freedom fighters of the second liberation who went on Saba Saba Day and got the Nyayo system out.
This demand for an accountable government will continue, na sisi tunaunga mkono Gen Z na tuko pamoja na wao.
Further, the leaders called for the reconstitution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, to pave the way for a snap election so that Kenyans can elect a new government.
IEBC Amendment Bill 2024, which William Ruto has promised to sign into law. We say that this should be done expeditiously on this Saba Saba Day so that we can have the process get underway of coming up as soon as possible with a new IEBC. According
to Kalonzo, a fully constituted electoral agency is necessary at this point in time when a section of Kenyans are muddling over recalling their members of parliament, a point the former vice president says is reason enough for President William Ruto to sign into law the IEBC Amendment Bill 2024.
Country right now is at a crossroads. This is not a thing that we think should be delayed for even one extra day.
Na tunashukuru vijana wetu ambao mara nyingine tulifikiria hawaoni shinda zile siku wameamuka zaidi yetu.
At the same time, Azimio demanded the resignation of President William Ruto in solidarity with the young Kenyan protesters.
Today we hear these young heroes saying Ruto must go, and Ruto will go. We have no doubt about that. It's a matter of time.
We say that people, men and women, who have responsibility over these deaths still, and we know them, we have called for their resignation, and the responsibility begins from the very top.
Chichi, Josephine, TV47.
Now, after President William Ruto announced that the office of the First Lady and that of the Second Lady will no longer receive budget allocation beginning July 1st, 2024, a section of leaders has now demanded that the same sword should pierce through the counties First Ladies in order to cut devolved units' budget. Now, speaking in Butali Malava constituency, UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala said this will enable county governments to achieve the goal of ensuring that they live within their means. Spouses of governors have offices at the county government, are entitled to staff members, and some have established foundations that are partly funded by the local administration. They also qualify for generous travel benefits, and most of them tour foreign countries to get funding for their local foundations, which range from championing for menstrual health to combating poverty.
Rais amesema kwamba anataka kukata budgets na ataanza na ofisi yake, kwamba kwa nyumba yake ile budget ya First Lady imetolewa yote, si ati imepunguzwa. Na vile vile pia mimi naomba, kwa sababu rais yeye katika national government amesema ametoa budget ya First Lady, ningependa kuomba magavana wetu wote pia hao watoe budget za First Ladies wao wa county government.
Hapa Kakamega Parasa alihonga MCA fulani kuweka pesa kwa ofisi yake, na waliweka shilingi milioni 300. Pasari ya Kakamega mzima ni milioni 240. Ameshindwa ya pasari, lakini kwa pipi anafanya nini? Hiyo mambo tumesema riswe leo.
All right, 5 people have been confirmed dead in Igembe North constituency, Meru County. The 5 were killed by cattle rustlers allegedly from Samburu. Among the dead is a police officer who died during gunfire exchange involving approximately 40 cattle rustlers and police, which went on for 5 hours on Saturday evening. The bandits left many injured and got away with 159 herds of cattle.
Imefuatwa leo na kikosi cha RDU mpaka kule Saba. Inaonekana wamefukisha pande ya Samburu East kule hiyo mlima Bendera, na tumeongea na wenzetu wafunge kutoka hiyo mlima Bendera kuelekea kule Lesesia, ndio recovery ifanyike. Wenzetu wa Samburu East tumeongea na wao, tayari wameingia hiyo shughuli. Kufa nimesema ni watu 5, askari mmoja, mzee mmoja mwenye ng'ombe na mwingine. Hao ni watu wa Mtwati na majambazi 2 wale wametoka Samburu. Afueni na wale wamepoteza watu wao, hao wawili wetu kutoka Kirua na Mutara, watakia pole sababu hii ni janga ilipata sisi.
Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba has unveiled a new initiative to promote the creative industry in the country, focusing on monetizing music, fashion and comedy. The initiative, Who's Next, aims to achieve the success for creative talents in the Talanta Hela project. The government intends to utilize partnerships across the globe to funnel big talents and generate economic revenue in the industry.
So that's this one now.
In a bid to nurture creative talents in the Talanta Hela project, Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba has said that the Who's Next initiative is designed to transform the creative industry in the country.
We have curated this project we are calling Who's Next. You can look at Who's Next as the creative side of the Talanta Hela coin. Okay. The other side of the coin has just been Talanta Hela for sports. Now you flip that coin, you see Who's Next, which is now Talanta Hela for creatives.
According to Ababu Namwamba, the initiative will focus extensively on 7 thematic areas that will present an opportunity to monetize music, fashion, film and comedy.
We want to give Kenyan creatives spaces where they can put superior products into the into the market.
Highlighting the success of nurturing creative talents internationally, CS Namwamba has hinted that there are already agreements with various local and international institutions to ensure the success of the Who's Next initiative.
We have already opened space for you under the Grammys. Okay. We have opened space for you with our Trace connection. Volume 1500 Studio. Volume 1500 Studio is the biggest recording studio in Los Angeles. That is where people like Snoopy Dogg record their music. It's big. That's where people like Rihanna record their music.
The Sports Cabinet Secretary has emphasized that Kenya can create professions and generate revenue from the creative economy, and now he has called for the creative industry to be consolidated as a government economy.
Amplifying the role of creatives and consolidating it as a serious economy. The people who think comedy, music, fashion, pageantry, the people who think those are sideshows.
All right, watch out for the launch of Who's Next this coming week, and you know that TV47 will bring you comprehensive coverage of this right here. Up next is sports.
Sports news. Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni Ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that, so when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of. At what point are you a wife? The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni. In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave, wallahi. Ambao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
I'm Nancy Njoroge, a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy who is Clinton and who is autistic.
When my heart got healed, I decided to come out to be creating CP awareness to let other people know that there is such a condition, and people that has it is not that they are witches.
Together, let's go beyond the limit every Saturday at 8 p.m.
Welcome to The Realtor, where we take you on an exciting journey from bare land to dream home. Step 1. Finding the perfect plot. We explore location, size, and potential. Next, construction begins. Witness the foundation being laid, walls rising, and rooms taking shape. Step 3. Electricity matters. We delve into wiring, switches, and smart home tech. Step 4. From paint choices to fixtures, it's all about aesthetics. Step 5. It's time to get the right furniture. Finally, the big day. Time to move in and create memories. Join us on the journey to making homes a reality on The Realtor, Tuesdays 6:30.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of. At what point are you a wife? The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave, wallahi. Mbao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey, become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
I'm Nancy Njoroge, a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy who is Clinton and who is autistic.
When my heart got healed, I decided to come out to be creating CP awareness, to let other people know that there is such a condition, and people that has it is not that they are witches.
Together, let's go beyond the limit every Saturday at 8 p.m.
Welcome to The Realtor, where we take you on an exciting journey from bare land to dream home. Step 1. Finding the perfect plot. We explore location, size, and potential. Next, construction begins. Witness the foundation being laid, walls rising, and rooms taking shape. Step 3. Electricity matters. We delve into wiring, switches, and smart home tech. Step 4. From paint choices to fixtures, it's all about aesthetics. Step 5. It's time to get the right furniture. Finally, the big day. Time to move in and create memories. Join us on the journey to making homes a reality on The Realtor, Tuesdays 6:30.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff Simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries and turning dreams into reality.
Hata mbao ni pesa ya kusave. Wallahi. Mbao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
I'm Nancy Njoroge, a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy who is Clinton and who is autistic.
When my heart got healed, I decided to come out to be creating CP awareness, to let other people know that there is such a condition, and people that has it is not that they are witches.
Together, let's go beyond the limit every Saturday at 8 p.m.
Welcome to The Realtor, where we take you on an exciting journey from bare land to dream home. Step 1. Finding the perfect plot. We explore location, size, and potential. Next, construction begins. Witness the foundation being laid, walls rising, and rooms taking shape. Step 3. Electricity matters. We delve into wiring, switches, and smart home tech. Step 4. From paint choices to fixtures, it's all about aesthetics. Step 5. It's time to get the right furniture. Finally, the big day. Time to move in and create memories. Join us on the journey to making homes a reality on The Realtor, Tuesdays 6:30.
kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
All right, welcome back. You're watching TV47 Weekend Edition. We are talking about love beyond loss. On To The Point tonight, guests are already in studio. We have just right next to me is Dr. Betha Gaitho. Dr. Betha is the CEO and founder of Muungano wa Wajane and is also a counselor. Right next to her is Margaret Ngima, a business lady and a young widow. And we have Shatterboy. Shatterboy is a media personality. We have to all agree that Shatterboy is home, and I hope that my guests tonight also just feel at home. How are you doing, ladies and gentlemen? How are you doing, Dr.
Very well, thank you.
You're excited to be here?
Glad to be here.
Glad to see you. How are you doing, Margaret?
I'm well. Yes.
Shatterboy?
Yes.
You're home. How are you doing though?
Niko poa.
All right, all right. Let me just start right here with Dr. You are the CEO and founder of Muungano wa Wajane. Tell us the thought process for forming this organization.
Thank you very much. I wish to say I've worked with the widows long before I was a widow myself. And when my husband passed on in the year 2011, it was not a new business to me, but it was a new experience. And after experiencing and going through what other widows have gone, which for me, I talked like they were stories or they were those things that I knew very well. It is then that I came to realize I knew nothing. Therefore, after experiencing those things in reality, after going through what the rest have gone through, I came to think around what can be done. What can we do to make this thing easier on the life of a widow? I made a few sums on my own life. I said my husband passed on when I was let me not say an old woman, but mwenye alikuwa amekomaa. My children are grown, left in my own home, had a lot of knowledge in doing business and other things. And then I thought, this life is just too hard on me, it's like killing me. I reflected on a young girl who has been left young with small children, maybe in a rented house, maybe with very hostile relatives, those kind of things. One that did not know anything other than a husband coming in the evening to bring food and for her to cook and take care of the children. It dawned on me that things might be just too hard for her. It is then that I thought, what can we do? One, we better bring to the attention of the people that there is somebody called a widow. And it is not just another woman who has been left in the world to fend for herself. It is a woman with a baggage who has some respect for herself as somebody's wife and cannot just do anything. And I do some small calculations. Around that time, widows were like 3 million or 4 there. And then I thought of 4 million, a cool 4 million. If we say every widow has 1 child, that is another 4 million. What is the impact on the economy of the country if these children do not go to school, are not anything to say they are good citizens? I found we had to do something. That something is what brought the Muungano Ajani. Yes.
All right, but Dr. before I bring, of course, Margaret and Shutterboy in, you mentioned that you started working with widows even before you became one.
Yes.
So what was really the drive? Before you became a widow, you were already looking out for them.
Yes.
What was the drive behind it?
The drive was this. My husband was an archbishop of a church. That is the great AIPCA church. And being now the wife, I thought, what can I do to complement his leadership? It is then there I formed or founded again the AIPCA Women Council. And since the year 2000, I became the chair to it, which I am to date. I'm the national chair to the Council of Women AIPCA. And it is then when the Archbishop was doing his work, I thought, how do I come in? I started doing, I brought the women on the top leadership, and it is there that we started doing national events. National events, one of them that we do to date, it is actually for next August, coming month, was bringing together all the women in AIPCA Church to a conference which takes 4 days in a place where you share, you talk, you do a lot of things together. It is then again there I found the widows were also not very well taken care of in the church. And that is how I started, because there is a day when we put them into their settings, the married ones, the widows, the singles, this way. So I found that there are very many widows in the church, and that is how I started working with them. You could find they were coming to the church, you thought they were all right, but they were not all right, because what the church says is about being righteous, remaining righteous, and being very faithful to the religion. But there is more to it than praying and fasting. And it is then that I started thinking, then what can we do? But in the presence of the Archbishop, it was a bit strong and it was a bit powerful because I had his backing. So we would identify a widow who has been chased away by the relatives. We would go and negotiate and they would come back. Or we would build a house, we would take children to school. Actually, when he passed on, I had 9 children in school. And I thank God because he helped me, help them complete their education. And that is how I got myself into this, even before I was not one of them.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. Margaret, you look quite young, and maybe I'm sorry to assume, but do you mind walking us through your experience as a young widow?
Thank you. The experience has not been smooth. I lost my husband back in April 2022 after a tragic road accident, and I was left with 2 young babies. The smallest was just 4 months old. It has been a painful journey, especially solo parenting. We used to co-parent with him. We used to assist each other, and now I'm left alone to look after the babies. It has been tough, being the mother and the father. It has not been easy, but I thank God that he has given me the grace. Yeah.
Shutterboy.
Yeah, man.
How has the experience been like for you, Shatter?
Well, it's
it's been an experience. Just like the way you're saying it, if there's something I've learned throughout my life, is that when life deals me a hand, I decide to be a student and I decide to learn. Because every day I ask myself, what is life teaching me? What do I take from this? And the first thing that I learned from this one is that people leave you. The moment your person is gone, after the burial, people disappear. Then now reality sinks in. You see, when you lose your loved one, you lose your wife, your husband, people will come, mpange mazishi. Then after the burial, you go back home and you realize now it's me and the children. You know, because now you have to reach out to people. Guys, I'm planning this, I'm doing this. Will you come by? And then you have a million questions that you need to answer every day from the kids. Answers that you do not have because no one has prepared you. Even as you listen to Daktari speaking, mostly it was widows, ladies. Like it is, quote, natural that men go first, you know? So nobody prepares a man for a situation where it is the wife that went first.
Right.
You know, so it's a journey. It is still a process, we are learning through it, but we soldier on. Being a dad and a mom, yeah.
A dad, mom, Shatta, for how many years, if you don't mind, for you? Well,
this is the first anniversary. Actually, was last week when we were supposed to have this show. That was the first anniversary because she passed on last year, June 25th. We did the burial 1st of July, and now it's been 1 year.
1 year is so fresh, Shatta. So how do you cope with now coming into terms with she's gone? Have you moved on from it, maybe?
Well, I don't think there's moving on to it. Only time will tell, but right now it's still, as you say, it's still very fresh. You have very fresh memories of the plans you had. You know, if there's one thing that you think you have, it's time. Like even when she was sick, you're in the hospital bed and you're planning your future. You're saying, so when you live here, we are going to do this, we're going to do that. Then the following day you wake up and now you're thinking, yes, we had these plans. So what? How do I proceed with these plans? Whom do I tell these plans we had? You know? So it's still very fresh, and there's no day that I would say it's not felt like it felt that day. It was on a Sunday morning, actually. It still remains fresh to date. So I think what will happen is that maybe you will learn to live with it. I will learn to live with it, but I don't see it getting old. Yeah.
Margaret, Daktari said for her, the husband left when she was of age. She didn't want to use old. But for you, did it get you as a shocker? Have you really moved on from it?
Of course.
How did you handle it, rather?
Of course, it was a big shock. I had not seen him going. We had our wedding in December 2020. Then he was involved in an accident in April 2022. So it was less than 2 years. We had dreams. We had just gotten our second born baby. So I did not expect it. So it was a big thing. It was a turnover, but seeing the children, I had to accept. Now that I realized that I'm the only surviving parent. The children are young, they need me. So losing myself would mean now a total loss to the children. So I had to accept and to move on. So I would say yes, I've accepted, I've moved on, I'm facing life. Yeah, but it's not easy.
All right, Daktari.
Yes.
Now, these are a young widow, a young widower.
Yes.
So how do you help them now as a counselor and as the CEO of this foundation that caters to widows? And just to ask, do you only cater to women or men as well?
Let me first go to where I started. One, death does not go away. And death, as long as you are together, you always feel it. I might have been left when I was in my older years, but let me tell you, he'll be 13 years coming Saturday 13th, and that thing looks like yesterday. He was sick. He fell sick for like 4 years, and every time you could see things were changing. But there was nowhere in my heart that told me today or tomorrow he might not be there. somebody is always very hopeful that something is about to happen to the better. Therefore, there will not come anybody, even in the 40th year, and tell you that that thing has gone away completely. I don't remember that person. Again, it depends on how were you going along. You know, there have been people who have been all the time on one another, a lot of things happening. Again, that time is dictated by the ongoings in your lifetime. But for my son here and daughter, what I can see, this thing is very fresh. But the first thing to know is it will never be over as long as you live. Even if you go into another relationship, that thing will always come. Because it is one person, and no one person is the other person. Therefore, what I would tell them is this: that thing is like a scar. It doesn't go away. Once you get a cut, it remains with you. So what do? You only live with it. You only agree to live with it. Don't live in denial. Don't live in regrets. Don't blame yourself. Don't start thinking, if I did this or this, if I took her to this hospital, she did not go out that day. Just know you have a life to live. And it's not about your own life. We confess there are children that are in this life. Therefore, though we would say, you don't have to say you are very strong for the children, because of course they got their own life, and there is the feeling and the relation to this gone person. But you still need to hold on to it, because these children are looking up on you. There is even the in-laws, there are even the parents, the actual parents are also there. They have also lost. But in essence, the core thing is to say, it is a scar, we have got to live with it, but we must move on. What matters is for how long? For how long? We don't have a definite time for staying in it, because it depends on your energy, it depends on your way of seeing things, and of course the people interact. Yes.
All right, let's take a very short break at this point, but when we come back we want to just find out how is love, finding love been like for you, Shata and Margaret, and maybe Daktari, if there is, after of course your loss, after this break.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff Simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave, wallahi. Mbao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
All right, welcome back to the broadcast. You're watching To The Point. Tonight we're talking about love beyond loss. Our guest tonight, we have Dr. Gaidho right next to me. We have Margaret right next to her, and of course we have Shutterboy. But of course, before we went on that very short break, Dr. Riad asked you a question which I realized that you did not shed light on. And this was, do you also offer maybe solutions, or do you also the aspect of inclusivity for widowers as well? Is it only widows, or is there room for widowers?
Well, I must say the initial concept was about bringing widows together. And I must say I tried, we had a conversation with some of the widows that I knew. And for real, we did a widowers group and registered one. But it was interesting, the rest of the time we came, you get this one who has gotten a partner already. So we would, you know, at times we need not to be very hard on ourselves. But I would ask this person, now, are you a widower or are you a husband to somebody? And he would tell me, I'm a widower to the first wife. So that one, it is, anyway, it is God-given. Men are not able to live alone. And actually for me, because on personal levels I get them, some look for me to ask for advice on how to move on. But I also advise them to look for partners. Because for them, culturally, and even in godly matters, there is a room that was left out to them. You can see an 80-year-old man can marry a 25-year-old girl and nobody will complain. By the way, he will be complimented. Look at this young girl. If somebody looks at her with super eyes, you hear the community saying, oh God, she has started. And the husband just passed away yesterday. They cannot even say it is a year or two. They will just say that. So for the widowers, we advise them, kindly look for somebody, because it's not possible for a man to live alone. And this one God even saw from the Garden of Eden. He looked at the man and said, this one, huyu hawezi kutoboa akiwa peke yake. So we will also advise them that way. Those that need our guidance, we also come in. I don't mean to say I do connections, I don't. But I advise.
Shatta, do you agree that as men you cannot do without women?
Well, say if you are left alone, like no children, just you, probably I'd agree, because now you're alone. But now you've not been left alone. You have children, so you have to weigh your options. Is it now your comfort that you're going to look for, or are you going to be a parent to these children? Because every decision you make has its pros and cons. If you are, say, to bring in, say, another woman to your life and to the life of your children, because it can't be different, yeah? Have you weighed the pros to this situation? Have you weighed the cons? How is she going to treat these children? Will your children accept her? Because you see, when I meet a girl and I'm courting a girl, just me and her, you know, if I'm a boy, you know, she only needs my approval in all this. But if I am bringing her in a situation where now there are children, my son is 13 years and my daughter is 9 years, and now I am bringing in someone else in the picture, this person needs to get the approval. Remember, these are children, and the way they process their emotion is very different. They will look at you like replacing their mother, you know. So it won't even be fair to the girl you're bringing into the picture, because now she will get hatred that she does not deserve. You know, she's just fallen in love with you, she's thinking everything will go smoothly, and the children reject her. So what do you do? Now do you choose your children over her, or do you choose her over your children? So in my case, because I don't know how it happens out there, what I've decided is that I will not get married. I will just take care of those children until they are grown-ups. When say they are, everyone is a grown-up, now I can decide maybe if I want a partner or not. But as of now, because I have also seen situations where things have gone south. Like a man moves on, brings in a woman, and it becomes just chaotic for the children. They don't feel the love, it's just fights and fights. If you can, because it's a choice. Even loving someone, when you wake up every day and I love you, it's a choice I make to love you every day. I can just decide not to have that choice. But so if I make the choice of me just being with the children, it's a sacrifice. And once you set yourself on a course, you see to it. So basically that is my principle in this one. I decided to be with them. Yeah.
So Shatta, how has it been like for you finding, of course, love after your loss? Have you maybe tried, because 1 year, just last year, for you to make that decision that you are never doing it again? How has it been like for you trying to find love, of course, after your loss?
Well, I haven't tried. Like I have told you, I made this decision that I'm just going to be me and the children, because it's a decision I made. Staying true to the decision is what has been not easy, because I've decided I will not, you know. And then every day you have a DM. First of all, you're in the limelight. You hear doing radio shows, TV shows. Every day you have a fan that is telling you they can take care of your kids. Saying no to this kind of texts, also balancing. You don't want to create animosity between you and your fans. It's not been easy saying no to these things, and also saying no to yourself, because you're a human being and you have human urges. Also saying no to those urges is a sacrifice. Yeah, but because, as I've told you, there's a course that I've set myself to, I stay with it. What I'd say has been helpful, which is also not a good thing, is that I lost my parents, both of them, in a span of 1 year. Like I lost my mom, 1 year later I lost my dad. You know, so I have lived with grief for some time. So even when this came, I had a bearing of how to go around it. Yeah, so I'd say that is what is helping me through this.
How has your understanding of grief evolved, Shatta, before I bring in, of course, Margaret?
Well, my understanding of grief is that number one is you don't see yourself as a victim. I don't think the world is punishing you, because this is life and everyone has a script. And that script must come to an end. And if it comes before yours, you have to accept that this is where the script had to end. No matter what you did, no matter how much you try to change the script, you are not the author of that script. And if the author decided that is the end of it, that is the end of it. Of course, you'll cry, you'll feel bad, but you realize you're still in the game. You keep on the play. Yes.
Margaret, I realized when Shatta said that he is not considering marrying again, you were shocked. Would you consider remarrying?
I would say yes. Okay. At the moment, I'm focusing on the children. It's barely 2 years, so and the children are young. So my main focus at the moment is the children, putting things like securing a future for the children. But if God brings a good man along the way, why not?
Awesome, awesome. Daktari, now for cases like this, of course, aside from maybe the foundation, how can the widows and widowers get help, maybe from just a community perspective or just help in general?
One, it is, let me first comment on what they have said. A marriage, a second marriage or a third marriage, it is always very tricky. And we have always told even the young widows, yes, you are young, and even the Bible gives you the go ahead. You can remarry. But then you need to think like what Hassan here is thinking. I have my own baggage. I have these children, they are young. Their sole stories is about me as their father or their mother. So bringing in this person is not like when I was a young boy, when I could rush into things that maybe I don't care whether they backfire or they don't. So that one needs a lot of thinking and a lot of commitment. And of course, because everybody knows what he wants for his life or her life and for their life. You know what you want to date. You know what you want to bring up. You don't want to bring up a family in bitterness where there is like a competition. Who is loved by daddy more, the wife or the children? So that one will also put somebody into a fix. However, we would say, with time is a healer. And you can see now the difference. This one is in the second year. This one is in the first year. That is why you can see the difference. This one is almost like saying, if I am able to take care of my children and settle at a good bargain, then I can go for it. The gentleman is saying, I have not thought about that one, because he's in those stages where you first say, why did it have to? But you deny. You think about like you never did those things. He's still in. He has not come to acceptance that now, because I've been left, this is how now I'll do my things. But he has designed his style of walking the journey, which is very good, because others just right around. They don't know. They even don't know whether I want to look for sorries on somebody else. And that is where widows, especially widows, go wrong. Because they get to a point where you feel so lonely, in the sense that whomever comes first and tells you, I love you, I think you have not heard for maybe 5 years, or like myself, 13 years. Then it says, oh God, the saint has come. Maybe the motive is not very sincere. So the issue of remarrying is a personal decision, and it is just what you can live with them. But it is not advisable for anybody with an opportunity to not utilize it. But first navigate the opportunity, in that it favors you and it favors whomever else was left on the runway. You get? Yes.
All right, we just hold on to that thought, Daktari. We are coming back, of course, after this break.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict, kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback, ana sniff Simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
Welcome back. You are watching To The Point. The conversation tonight is love beyond laws. And before we went on that very short break, we were just trying to get to understand how is it like finding love after the loss of a partner. And Margaret, just to start with you, how has your perspective on love and relationships changed after losing your spouse?
I think nothing much has changed. My husband was very intentional about marriage. He was a present father. He valued family, and he believed in true love. So I think even after his passing on, I still believe that love is a good thing. Marriage is good. So if given an opportunity, then and you involve God, then you can always try the opportunity. But of course, you need to consider the pros and cons. Of course, it cannot be very easy when you have children. These are people you have to bring on board. So if you put your priorities right, I think you can always try. So nothing much has changed.
Shatta, has your perspective changed in any way, either negatively or positively?
On marriage?
Yes, marriage, love, relationships.
Okay. I don't think there's anything that has changed. I still believe marriage is a beautiful thing. But before you see, what guides you in life is your past experience. What you've seen, what you've heard, what you've done, shapes you to the person you are, you know? For my case, I have what has informed my decision, which looks very unrealistic, is that I have seen instances where men have remarried. First of all, I grew up in a polygamous family, you know, so I have seen what polygamy looks like, whether the mother is there or not, but I've seen it, you know. I have seen instances where men have remarried, and I've seen the kind of life children have gone through, and it's not easy for children to speak up when maybe an injustice is being done upon them, because they think this is daddy's sweetheart, okay? What are we going to tell him? Will he listen to us? You know, and again, you don't know what daddy speaks with his new wife, you know, so children undergo a lot and don't feel like you are the safe space, because probably the person that is making them go through this is the person that they believe you're in the same team with, because children tend to grow up with groups, you know, so they can group themselves. They say, Sisi, we are team mom, and daddy is team the new wife. You know, so children might be put through a lot, but they will not have the courage to tell you. And when they tell you, they will tell you in a bad way, because now they'll start revolting against you. Things I have seen happening, and they revolt against the dad. The dad does not know why, because he thinks, I have been with you guys. I brought in this new mom to help me bring you up. You know, say there's a girl in the picture. She needs this mom to talk to. When issues that come up, probably the dad won't understand better. But it has not always gone that smooth. You know, there are people that have good stories of remarrying and the children accepting the new wife and living forever, happily ever after, you know. But as for me, I do not have a case where I can look up and say, yo, I have seen this guy remarry and it's gone well. Most of the cases I've seen have gone on the negative. You know, like the children revolt, or the wife comes and she's not kind to the children. And so I avoid my options, and I think this is something I want to put my children through, you know. And clearly, I tell myself no. Sindio, again, I'm very young, but when both of them get to the age of 18, I will still not be at the age of 40. You know, so I'll still be a young man. So when they are grown and they can fight for themselves, if someone is putting them through something, I say, yo, we don't do that here. You know, like they are grown-ups, then now maybe then I will be open. And as Dr. has said, time is the master healer. Maybe one day my perspective of this will change. But as it is right now, that is the stand that I have decided. It is these children first. once they are grown-ups. When they are gone to their homes, then maybe I'd say, okay, now I am lonely, you know, I'll still be a young man.
All right, Shatta, is this a conversation that maybe you have sat down with your kids and had with them about maybe your perspective of giving them a new mom or just being in a relationship? Have you sat them down and talked things through with them?
No, I have not had this conversation with them because I do not want to plant that in their heads because I don't know how they'll digest it. I observe. I see how they behave. I see how protective they are of their mother's belongings and personal stuff. For example, her phone got lost in the house. I saw how it depressed them. There is a mug that has a picture of her. I see how they protect that mug. They do not want anyone near that mug, you know. Her clothes. So from those things, I do not think it's the right time to bring such a conversation to them, because as I am healing, they're also healing from losing their mom, you know. So they actually, I think last week we were having this conversation. We do have these conversations. When they bring their mother up, I do not believe in blocking the conversation because I want them to heal through it. Don't just block it, because then when they grow up one day, they'll have childhood trauma that I did not allow them to heal or walk through it. You know, so they brought up the conversation about their mom, and I was telling them, you know, you guys, you think your mother was my mom. Do you know your mother was my sweetheart? You know, and we have the conversation. They know, yes, we know. Okay, but I've not told them or brought about the conversation of bringing a new mom in the picture.
Dr. When is the right time to have this conversation? His first one is 13 years old. So when is the right time to have this kind of conversation with maybe the kids?
Every other time is the right time because it depends on an individual. You can hear his decision is informed by other things he has noticed in his life. He has seen this happening. He would not want to walk the journey that way. So it is about oneself. When you say, like now, I've got grown children. My children are grown, they are adults. They are not adults, they are parents. And as we talk, if I mean to have a relationship today, I will still think about them. Yes, I might be alone at home, but I still remain their mother. I still remain the steering wheel in that home. So anything they want, as adult as they are, they know that is not there for consultation. They come to me. So there is always the fear. What if mama engages in another person and it's like she switches her attention to this other? Shall we be getting her? It is not even about the children. They are also the relatives. You know, for us women, we belong to a clan. Remember that. So there is also thinking, what will my mother-in-law think when she hears, or my father-in-law, my brothers-in-law are also there. They want to hear their brother's home is well done. The woman is still there, a very holy woman, going to church and coming back, is in the guild and CWA everywhere else. That is what they would want to hear. So the right time is when you manage and design the destiny of where you want to go. If I am strong enough at 1 year and I do my calculations and see nothing is going wrong, I'll make a decision pertaining to that. But it is always good to be very careful because as the gentleman here says, there is always that natural urge. Everybody wants to be loved and to love. So, and there are people around you. You can make a very uninformed decision, then you get yourself there later trying to move away when it is just too late. When you have disconnected with your children. But the best time is when you know you have cleared the way, you have come back and done it again, and even again, in that you have no doubts. There will not be any guilt, because what comes again mostly is thinking, am I replacing my former spouse? Am I replacing this gentleman? Am I being and faithful to him, those things come along. You know the answers very well, but they keep coming. The moment you feel like you have an answer for those questions, it is the right time. But for younger persons, I would say, it is always good to think and think again. Because like now, if I'm 60 and they are like 30, you can imagine if I spoil my life at this, I might be having a very short life to live here. But if they spoil their life at 30, enter into a bad relationship, get cheated by whatever circumstances around their life, that one can be very dangerous, because whatever they'll destroy, it is about a longer life. It's equally not very well with older persons, because the energy now to fight on again with a gone sour thing is still very minimal.
All right, very insightful remarks from Daktari right there. Time is running out, but I want to give Margaret and Shataboy a chance to give us their closing remarks as we close, of course. Margaret, what has been your source of comfort during your grieving period?
I think my greatest source of comfort is my children. Anytime I look at them, and I realize that I'm the only surviving parent, then I get comforted in the fact that I have to do the very best. I don't have to lose myself, because if I do that, then my children will have lost. I also get my comfort from my father-in-law. He's very supportive. My brother-in-law, they are supportive. I have very supportive friends. I have supportive parents, my mom. So these people have really comforted me, and they have really made the grief journey not so tough to walk on. Yeah.
Shata, tell us, what is your source of comfort?
Life. Life as it is. As I've told you, you have a way of looking at life. You might decide to be a victim or to live life, you know. And if you decide to take the positive route of life, where you learn through it, and you tell yourself that nothing is victimizing you, makes it livable, you know. My children have been a strength, especially at night when I go to tuck them in, and you find this one sleeping like their mother. Maybe the duvet is down there. You have to bring it back, you know. You look at them at night, then you get to repeat the conversations in your head, you know, like you have decisions to make that the mother would make. You ask them, hey, so what is it that you think you've been missing? That mommy used to buy us clothes every day. You buy clothes once a month, you know. Conversations, keeping her alive has been a source of comfort. And I'd want to also talk to young men that probably have gone through this, you know, because I cannot say that I'm alone. You know, there's over 3 million of us out here, of widows and widowers. But what happens with young men when they go through this, or even young ladies as well, is that you spiral. You start substituting that with something else, and mostly it's drugs. You know, you find yourself, you've gone into alcohol, you lose yourself, you forget now there are children here. What I tell you is, if you're feeling whatever you're feeling, allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. Number one, do not fight what you're feeling. It's grief, and you're grieving. But it is also important to find yourself in positive ways to ground yourself. Because if you don't ground yourself, you will spiral. You know, you end up having double tragedy for these kids that have been left with you. Because if they lose their mom, they've lost you as a dad, because now you've gone to alcoholism, or now you're spiraling with multiple partners because you're trying to fill the void that has been left. Accept, number one, that this has happened. Find yourself to ground yourself positively and live life.
All right, thank you so much. So much to talk about on this topic. Of course, finding love beyond loss. Thank you for gracing the show tonight, Daktari, Margaret and Shataboy. Looking forward to having this conversation maybe on this side, just to get to understand more about how you are coping with this. Of course, thank you so much for making time to join us tonight. We close at this point. My name is Anne Odida. Our sign language interpreter tonight was Catherine Simaloi. Do have yourself a good night, and see you next time, inshallah.